Hello, I'm Sean Lim and welcome to After 10. If you've noticed, the world's appetite for Korean media content has grown ravenous, but legal channels haven't always kept up with the growing demand. On today's After 10, we meet with one of the largest online content providers in this area to talk about the future of Korean wave audiences. Stay with us.
정부에서는 그동안 창조 경제를 바탕으로 우리 경제의 새로운 틀을 만들고자 심혈을 기울여 왔습니다. 국민들이 가지고 있는 창의적 아이디어를 찾아내고 인재 양성과 발굴을 위한 기반 구축에도 노력해 왔습니다.
The Park Suk administration has ushered in a new era of a creative economy since its establishment to promote economic growth based on the ideas of the people. A lot of entrepreneurs and talented individuals who have taken the lead in promoting the creative economy gathered in Seoul this month. The CEO of DramaFever, a company that promotes internet content, also visited. DramaFever offers a variety of Korean dramas and film contents for just 10,000 won, which is about $10 a month. Meet Park Suk, founder and co-CEO of DramaFever, who has created a new economic model to follow.
Well, Suk, thank you so much for joining us tonight on After 10.
Thank you for having me here.
So DramaFever apparently is one of the hottest sites in North America right now for where you can go to get your Korean drama and TV fix. Can you tell us more about DramaFever and why you started it?
Sure. We started DramaFever in 2009. I mean, the idea started generating in 2008. I was traveling throughout Asia, my previous job. And I could be in Manila, Kuala Lumpur, Taipei, or Beijing, and you turn on the television prime time, and it was a Korean drama, subtitled, dubbed, sometimes both. Come to the U.S., and I called my college buddy, who's now my partner, co-founder of DramaFever, and we start researching how folks were watching Korean dramas in the U.S. And you have your TV channels, and you have the DVD rental places which don't exist anymore. But then we went online and we saw about 36 websites streaming every episode of every drama, every broadcast, and every single site was illegal. So my background in licensing, we created a plan, a business plan where we would legally license content and distribute it in the US and generate revenue through advertising and subtitling, advertising and subscription. So that was the genesis of the company. Right now, we're the largest aggregator and distributor of Asian content. Korean content is the largest, the most important portion of it.
So how many people use the service?
Right now, we have a little over 11 million monthly active users, consuming close to 60 million video streams a month.
So when it gets to prime time every night, how many people are on at the same time trying to look at
It's a great
Korean
question.
content?
We have our peak hours during prime time, and we'll have anywhere between 50 and 60,000 people watching Korean dramas concurrently, which is the equivalent of like a smaller cable station in the U.S.
So people all around the world, they're trying to find their content, whether legally or illegally, through the internet because their local providers don't have Korean dramas.
That's absolutely right.
What sets your company apart from all of the other online sites out there?
That's a great question. I think there's always two pieces to the puzzle when you're in the content business. The fans have traditionally gravitated towards the illegal sites because there has been no other option. So one of them is making the content available in real time. The second part of it is making the content available in a way that makes money for the content owners, because otherwise there's nothing in it for them. So the business in itself that sets us apart, the way that we do business that sets us apart, is we focus not only on the user experience and the quality of the offering, but we also make sure that we can monetize so that the content owners can keep working with us in a way that is profitable and scalable.
So essentially, you're bringing over Korean content and then even expanding it to more providers in North America. So really spreading the Korean wave even more.
That's right.
Was that part of your thoughts, or is it part of your mission to bring the Korean wave to more audiences?
Well, in retrospect, as an entrepreneur, the one thing you realize is that you can think about a lot of things and plan for them, but in the end, luck has more to do with anything else. So we were very fortunate early on to have established good relationships with players like Hulu and Netflix. And they sort of paved the way for business models that we use and apply on for DramaFever. So it was a little bit less by design and more by luck that we had these good relationships that we implemented for our own business, and then we worked with and partnered with to even grow our business larger.
So what's the most popular drama right now on your site?
Right now, well, 2 months ago, we licensed a title called Heirs, 산속자들 in Korea, which has some of the top talent right now. Lee Min-ho, Park Suk, Kim Woo-bin. That title has been phenomenal.
So you get the most recent content from Korea?
Oh, absolutely. We actually, not only do we get the most recent titles, we release every single episode within 24 hours of broadcast in Korea with subtitles. In the case of Heirs, we had exclusive distribution rights for North and South America, and it just speaks volumes about the kind of partnerships that we have with the broadcasters and production companies here.
So you offer real-time streaming versus download. So why did you decide to take that approach?
Yeah. The first thing that you notice in Korea is how fast the internet is. I mean, I think in Korea everyone's spoiled by the speed of the internet. Downloading HD files, because we stream in HD, in the States takes a while. And for that instant gratification type of experience, I think streaming has been the only choice. Now, we're looking into sometime middle of next year allow for downloading because now folks want to have access to their videos in a mobile manner, in a portable manner, I should say, when they are in trains or in airplanes with limited access to the internet. So that's something that we're looking into. But streaming in the States, it's the more practical way to distribute content.
So you said you have about 11 million monthly active users. Not all of those people, I take it, are Korean or even Asian American. Can you tell us about your demographic?
The demographic is one of the most interesting parts of our business. The 2010 census earmarked the Korean population at 1.7 million. Basically a fraction of the audience that we have right now. And it also turns out that the Korean people in the States are still used to watching content illegally because they don't need the subtitles, so there's no reason for them to wait 24 hours for us to release the episodes. It turns out that what we've been able to do is make Korean content, Korean dramas more specifically, part of the US mainstream entertainment consciousness. People now are familiar with Korean actors, Korean writers, like the Hong sisters. Anything that they write, you'll have an audience for in the States. The majority of our audience, over 80%, is not even Asian. And the Asian component is mostly Chinese and Filipino. So our website with 11 million users right now, probably 35% is Caucasian, another 30% is Latino, and the remainder is evenly split between African American and Asian.
So do you think some of the big studios or networks are going to hop on this trend? Do you feel like this audience is now a viable audience?
Well, I think there's still room for our business to grow. Since our inception, we've been doubling every meaningful metric every year. And I think there's still another 2 to 3 years of us growing this business. We're at a point where it has become interesting. Some of our investors include leading broadcasters. Bertelsmann is the leading broadcaster from Europe. AMC Networks is one of the leading cable companies in the States. And you're probably familiar with Walking Dead and Mad Men.
So they're really taking an
And-
active interest.
And those companies, as well as one of the 2 founders from YouTube, Steve Chen, they're all part of our investor group. So I think people from both the professional and scripted content side, as well as the user-generated content side, have taken an interest of what we've been doing, because we've been able to take content that is, frankly, wasn't mainstream in the US at one point when we started doing this business, and been able to grow an audience and a fandom based on sort of the website and the marketing tactics that we employ.
And what have they said that really, I guess, encouraged you or was really insightful about how some of the movers and shakers of the media and entertainment world are thinking these days?
So one of the meetings that we had, which was, I'll never forget it. Chuck Dolan, who's now probably in his mid-80s, he's the gentleman who founded HBO. Is now the chairman of AMC Networks. He came in with, his entire staff. It's probably about 8, 9 people. They're all C-level executives from AMC, and they came out to our offices. It was interesting. We looked out the window, and there was a line of black town cars outside with all of these executives coming up. And we did our presentation with the PowerPoint and everything, and he was very quiet. And at the end, he clears his throat and says, "You remind me of a young HBO." And I think that when you look at HBO's history, right, it started out basically with content that nobody else wanted.
They were showing movies that
Old movies, yes.
that weren't in the theaters anymore.
And now they're one of the leading content producers in the world. And now, as chairman of AMC, they've done the same thing. Before Mad Men, Breaking Bad, AMC was basically
Also played old movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's this ability to take sort of content that is not tier 1, so to speak, create a business around it, and then keep adding better and better and better content for your audience, and being able to grow that business to something that becomes meaningful.
So how do you work around some of the legal issues, the copyright issues, these licensing agreements? It seems as if it may be actually, not just a technical game for the website, but really negotiating through many different cultures and languages.
Yeah, I mean, the first licensing agreement took me a little over 8 months to get done. And this was flying back and forth from Korea and LA, meeting with these people. And frankly, nobody really had high expectations of building a business with Korean content online, just because piracy was so rampant. But throughout the years, we've been at this for 4 years. I think we've built a much stronger partnership with all of our partners. They now see what we can do with content. We've also curbed piracy with takedown notices and other legal action, and really, showcase the content in a way that becomes much more enjoyable and safe for people to come in. In our company, we always say that when we compete with illegal sites, if you have a website that has a very big bright light on it, and you tell folks, listen, this is legal, this is a safe place to come and enjoy content, people will then gravitate towards the legal alternative. There's no reason to go to an illegal site when the product is free, it's advertisement based, it's HD streaming, and has other qualities that make the user experience much better than some of the pirate sites.
So did people think you were crazy for being able to create such a high level of a product that was legal?
Well, I think that there were a lot of skeptics, but it happens in every single industry when you do something that that is maybe not part of the mainstream thinking. But this opportunity with Korean content for us has opened the doors to content from throughout Asia. So we have started deals with in China, for instance, Shanghai Media Group, CCTV. In Japan, 2 months ago, we did an exclusive agreement with Fuji TV for 12 dramas in the next 12 months. It has really opened up the doors for us to explore content at a global level. Age is one component. We started licensing content from Latin America and Europe as well. Mostly, when I say Europe, I mean Spain, Spanish language content that is performing extremely well as well. Granted, it's still just a small component of our overall catalog, but there's no doubt that all of these clusters of content will keep growing and allow us to provide sort of the best of global entertainment to audiences in the States.
How are you so sure that this would work in those early days?
You're never sure of anything, are you? I think, when you look at the content and you see the quality of it and how good it is, and then you look at online activity and you see how passionate people are for this content. When we looked at the illegal sites, that was probably 3 to 5 million users frequenting these illegal sites, and they would jump through hoops to access this content. They would, some of them would do all the subtitling and translation for free. Others would rip content from television, upload it online. So literally, going.
So you saw the effort that people
there was
were
a lot
putting
of effort into this business from people that, granted, it was illegal, but they were doing it because there was no other alternative, right? And we sort of cleaned all of that up in a way that the people that were working the hardest to make the content available are now our biggest advocates on DramaFever.
So you yourself have been consulted by the Korean government to advise on the creative economy initiatives here. What sort of role do you play there?
Sure. Earlier this year, the Korean government got in touch with me to participate in a panel in LA for Madam President's visit to the States. So President Park came to LA, and there was about 18 of us, most of them Korean Americans, but we had also some American individuals there from all aspects of academics, venture capital, and entrepreneurship that were united with the point of providing feedback and opinions based on our own experiences to the president about how to build the Korean creative economy. I think that one thing is for the government to meet with Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Google, and another thing is sort of meet with Korean Americans that have taken an entrepreneurial route and ask them what their experience has been like and what can Korea do from an infrastructure standpoint to replicate that drive and that motivation.
So they see the results that have occurred in America, such as your case. They want to collect a lot of information and best practices on how it works. But what would you say is the current big difference between a creative economy environment in the United States versus one in Korea?
So I'll tell you about from my own personal experience. I was born in Korea, I was raised in Spain, I was educated in the US. I think, when we started DramaFever in the US, one of the key things that I think differentiated me with an entrepreneur, say, from Korea, was the fact that I wasn't based in Korea and I had sort of maybe a global perspective. I think that, there have been a lot of very successful Korean entrepreneurs. But one thing that some of them might miss is the issue of scalability. A company for scalable growth needs to be global. In the case of DramaFever, by definition, because we're bringing in international content, we already have a global mindset. And I think it's that predisposition to start with a global mindset is what differentiates certain entrepreneurs.
And you also created an infrastructure that was immediately scalable.
Yes, I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but we always think about growing this business in the way that is very scalable.
Were you ever afraid of failure?
You know, when my baby is 3 years old, when she was born, I started thinking more about what happens if I fail. And that turned into fail cannot be an option and makes me work harder. And I would say it's the same thing for my partner as well. He has a 1-year-old, and it's sort of, you know, it's not a game anymore. It's now, you know, a real business, and we need to push very hard to make this work.
So what's the next step and phase for DramaFever?
I think Korean dramas was a great starting point. Like I mentioned, we've moved into licensing content from throughout Asia and Latin America as well as Spain, all the same format, sort of episodic television content. We've now also looking into licensing other genres. So we just finished licensing deal with several of the Korean children's animations companies. EBS, Okan, Synergy, KBSN, and of course Iconics and Bororo, Taiyo, etc. So we're very excited into exploring the children's portion of it. Most of the content comes both in original language as well as English dubbing. Unfortunately, kids that age don't read subtitles. And beyond that, I think movies is a very, very interesting business. But you know, we need to really study how the economics work. But yeah, I mean, there is no shortage of content in the world. I think it's a matter of curating what the best content is and be able to showcase it in the best light possible.
Well, you're certainly an inspiration for entrepreneurs and people who want to start a venture company. What would you say is important for somebody young out there who is thinking of going along this path?
Well, I would say it's very important to gain perspective of the world. If it's through school or through church or any means possible, if you have the ability to travel and see how other people live their lives, I think that's an eye-opening experience for anybody. And my biggest sort of advice would be, don't be afraid to travel, don't be afraid to open up your perspectives, don't be afraid to try something new.
Right, see it firsthand. But until then, they can see all of life here in Korea through DramaFever.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me here.
And that does it for us tonight on After 10. Join us again next time. We'll see you soon.